So to the extent that Premier isn't able to get certification for the 635 auto marks, I mean, that's something that needs to be addressed.
Correct.
By this agency.
Can I just make sure I understand this correctly? None of the A, B, or C proposals in this document are doable for, I'm sorry, wait a minute, are doable for Cuyahoga County for November because you don't have certification to use the auto mark.
That's correct.
And you did not include anything in the proposal to make up for not having the authority to use auto mark. I'm assuming then you would revert back to using a TSX unit in the,
Our desire would be to seek approval to use the auto mark for November.
but even if it gets certified at the federal level, it has to go then through the Ohio certification, is that correct?
That's correct.
In reality, is there enough time to get everything certified and implemented before the November election,
Well,
based on knowing how long it takes for certification?
I'm not sure I can answer that, but you know, my point was to make sure you were aware of it, because...
Well, I think that's a pretty significant point that was left out of the proposals that you submitted.
Well, I think the proposal stipulated that the use of the auto mark would need to be approved.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
If it becomes clear that the auto mark isn't going to get approved in time, as to go back to the director's comment, can we then still use the, would you be proposing using the TSX units we've used in the past?
We did not include that in our proposal, but you own those units, and there would be nothing to preclude you from using them but your own choice.
Okay. Now, this letter that you just referenced has the Assure 1.2 voting system package.
Yes.
And again, it's my understanding that Premier had the option to have that tested at either the 2002 standards or the 2005 standards, and Premier opted to have it tested at the 2002 standards. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Do you have any comments to why you didn't go for the 2005 standards? I know it's kind of a recurring theme.
Yes. No, I do, actually. Like all the vendors have expressed, the certification process and timeline has been much longer than we're accustomed to or than we expected. And at that point in time, in December of 2007, none of our customers required 05 standards be met. And the package that we had in front, or had submitted for certification, has quite a few things that our customers want, and they want to use them this year. And so our desire was to choose the 02 standards and to move forward, and then to immediately go back and pursue the 05 standards so that we could meet the needs of our customers this year, or what we felt was the best chance of getting our certification done quickly so that we could meet the needs and the hopes of our customers this year. The next plan, Plan B, in your handout, like I alluded to earlier, our hope would be if we moved down the certification path quickly enough that we could utilize our new absentee scanning system in November. We have that here for you. There's several benefits to that system as well. One is increased speed and less units. The other is the ability for viewing the ballot or adjudication electronically, which Joe is going to show you later as well how that's done. It does, however, have the ability to outstack or separate any ballots that have an exception, so if you wanted to manually review those ballots, you have that option as well. The Plan C equipment, this is truly our Assure system. This is the latest technology from Premier. It includes our next generation precinct count optical scan unit, which we have here, in a newly designed ballot box that we think has some really nice features for management in the polls. The demonstration of the OSX, again, is the same ballots. The 18-inch two-card ballots is what we've brought with us for you to use on the machine to see how it works, and would be conducive to use in November. Do you have any questions about the hardware or the products that we're offering before I move into services?
What is the capabilities of your DRS photo spread?
In terms of throughput,
Yes.
well, like other vendors have described, the throughput on ballots is a function of ballot quality and ballot length. And so the longer your ballot, the slower your processing, and the flatter your ballot, the faster the processing. Our testing that we've done, and we've done some fairly extensive testing, has shown us that somewhere in the 2,000 to 3,000 range on an average ballot should be expected. When I calculated the math for Cuyahoga County when we were working on the RFP, I used a 1,200 number because I felt that that was very conservative, and we would probably experience something much higher than that, but I considered that to be the worst case scenario.
You have that equipment here, Jennifer, correct? Is that equipment here?
Yes, it's right here.
I'm sorry. And does it, how does it handle the overvote situation? We've heard the other vendors talk about their equipment.
The absentee system or the precinct count
Well,
system?
on both.
Okay, for the precinct count system, when a ballot is overvoted, it can be set, and most of our customers do set the precinct count system up to return the ballot to the voter. So the voter would insert the ballot, it would immediately be returned to them, and a message is displayed on the screen that says overvote, voted race, and then a reference to which race to direct their attention to. One of the nice things about having the ballot returned to the voter is that it alerts them immediately that the ballot's not been taken and that they need to do something. On the absentee system, the new system, which we have here on the table, it has an outstack tray, and you can set it up to outstack any ballots with specific conditions, overvotes being one of them, undervotes being another, write-ins being another. You have the ability then to either physically inspect those ballots because they're in an outstack tray, or you can electronically inspect those ballots on the screen, depending upon what your administrative preferences are and your law allows.
Then if you can look at on a screen, and maybe I can't see, is that because there's a digital photograph taken of that?
That's correct. It is a digital image, and it's also a digital image on our new precinct count system, the OSX, as well. It's reading a digital image. The current system, which is the furthest to the left, the OS system, which is the one we're suggesting for November, is not digital technology. It actually has been around for probably over 15 years being used in precincts. It uses a light source. It's the typical Mark Sense technology that most companies utilize.
I just have a point of clarification.
Yes.
The Plan A, Jessica, you had indicated, I thought that the auto mark has not been approved, has not been certified yet. And in the proposal on page 2, it says that Plan A includes the rental of the AccuVote and the auto mark as an Ohio certified optical scan tabulation. Am I mistaken? Am I confusing? Am I misinterpreting this language, or?
No, I don't think you're misinterpreting it. I think the intention behind it is that the auto mark is certified in Ohio for use, and it is in Ohio for use. And our hope is that because the differences are so minor, that we would be able to get approval to use the auto mark.
But is the auto mark VAT certified? I'm reading this in the proposal as suggesting that it is certified. You're saying if it becomes certified? Is that just a little nuance in the language? I'm just not clear. Plan A includes the rental of the AccuVote OS and AutoMark VAT as an Ohio certified optical scan tabulation, blah, 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 for the November election. But I thought it isn't not in fact certified.
Our firmware on the AutoMark device has not been certified in Ohio. The AutoMark hardware itself is in use in Ohio in other counties.
Just so you know, I went through the proposal quickly just now. I don't see anywhere that it's mentioned where it's not certified.
Okay.
So in good faith, just so you know, I looked at this proposal in good faith to say they have a disabled voter solution. So I think at this point, outside of the TSX unit that is, at this point though, I think the answer is you don't. Is that correct? You don't have an ADA solution for us outside of the TSX to offer us right now. Is that correct?
Not certified.
Okay, so that's the correct statement, yes. Thank you.
Jessica, in regards to just leasing option here, how do you propose, and I think I've read it in your proposal, we do the absentee ballots, you know, what's Premier's suggestion on how to handle that, and with what equipment?
With the leasing option for November being the OS system,
Yes.
okay, we would utilize the current equipment that you own, which is an OS absentee processing system. I believe you have 40 units.
Right, that's what I see.
And the last time I was here, and I don't know if it's changed, we set those up tabletop, and based on how the ballots were arranged by precinct, they were fed through the scanners. I think we started the day before the election. I don't remember the timing of it. But basically, the same optical scan units that you use for your absentee central count are the same optical scan hardware that we use in the precinct. It just has different firmware on it.
And you put your OS scanners out in the field and in the precincts.
Correct. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Yes,
it did,
okay.
thank you.
Any other questions before I move on to services?
Where is the product manufactured, your OS scanners?
They are manufactured in the United States. The only exception to that is the new generation absentee scanner. It's actually this one here on the table. This is actually a scanner that's used in elections in the UK, and it's manufactured and we buy it from a company in the United Kingdom.
And what is the code? Is it open source on the new generation, or?
No, it's not open
There
source.
is no open source.
Correct.
And in regards to delivery dates, I know that's been asked of all the vendors.
Yes.
When could you have a product in the field? Let's set aside the automark matter, but when could you have a product available?
We have all of our products and the quantities listed in the pricing and inventory, and they're available immediately.
The OS is optical scan,
Correct.
and is the OS X optical or digital?
It is a digital scan technology. Okay, overview of services. We have a lot of people on the Premier team that work together to deliver solutions for our customers. And for Cuyahoga County, we're proposing that we have an account manager role in place to serve as a direct liaison between the company and the county in an effort to streamline communications and responses back to the county in terms of their questions and needs. On the implementation team, we would have a project manager, groups of folks from our Ohio service team, our training team, programming team in Omaha, as well as coordinating the efforts of those folks from our corporate office in Allen. Obviously, the goal is to provide the types of support and service that are going to provide the best election service for the voters in Cuyahoga. And we hope that this structure and the services that we described in our RFP meet the needs of the county and the voters. The training that we've suggested is a train-the-trainer format, whereby we would train your staff members as well as your trainers to conduct poll worker training. We would actually provide that training as a part of this proposal. We would certainly be here to support the county, support those trainers and those staff members, but from our experience in the past and what we felt was the tone of the RFP was that your goal and your desire is to do as much of that independently as possible. Okay. The next slide, very briefly, is the pricing summary. Obviously, we've offered some very competitive pricing, and it's our desire to resolve any past concerns that the county might have. If you have any questions relative to the pricing or the structure of the pricing, I'd be happy to answer those, but I think you've already summarized it pretty clearly across the three vendors.
Would you be responsible, it says account manager here in our printout, are you the point person, the go-to person?
We're suggesting that that would be my role if you chose Premier.
If we had technical issues, would you serve in that role, or would the project manager be the point person for?
I would be the point person. I would go get the appropriate person to get the response for you and finish that to get it back to you.
Wait, has the company given any thought? We had a bit of an issue with crashes of the server the last time when we were working together, and I guess the question I would have is whether or not there's been any discussion about how those kinds of problems would be resolved. Would we see that same thing with this equipment? Could you address that?
I don't know that I have the ability to technically provide you a response, except to say that the equipment configuration that we've presented to you for November and beyond is very different than what you've used in the past. This is 1,500 memory cards as opposed to 6,300. In San Diego, for example, when they're uploading their results in the evening, they use 10 units to upload, and that takes them about 2 hours. So the manual intervention and the volume of work going on is dramatically reduced. If you'd like a more technical response than that, I'd have to go get it from someone.
No, but I guess in the event that we would encounter concerns or issues, there would be a technical person.
Yes, that would be, part of my job would be to make sure that person was available, scheduled.
Do your OS devices actually tabulate when you're running the absentees through, if I recall? Does it actually tabulate as opposed to, I think, one of the vendors says you can run it through, but you won't be tabulating, you'll simply be scanning those. Is that a distinction, or is that the case with your equipment or not?
The current system, the one that you already have, because I don't want to blur the lines here. The one that you have, the one you've used in the past, is it does scan the ballots and it tabulates the votes. Until you pass through that batch card, it holds them. When you pass through that batch ender card, it does send those tabulated results to the server.
Is that, I just asked ourselves, has that been an issue where we needed a judge's
Right.
order to permit us to run it because the state law says you can't?
No, not, the issue is that Secretary of State Bruner, in November of '07, or March of '08, will not allow us to use the Diebold scanning system earlier than Election Day, based on the fact that as you scan in the absentee ballots, it goes right into the server. Therefore, it's not just the process of scanning, it's scanning and counting is what's happening. So we're not allowed to take advantage of the early days prior to the election to scan hundreds, hopefully over 100,000 absentees for any election.
So to the extent that this proposal was offering to use that, we could use the equipment, we couldn't use it until Election Day.
Correct.
If you compare that with the next generation absentee system, the one on the table, that one operates off of separate software from GEMS, and you don't upload the results or transfer the results, if you will, to GEMS until a later time. So the new system does have the ability to meet those requirements outlined by Bruner.
You do that without like a card,
I'm not sure, Joe, can you explain how that's done?
How it separates scanning from tabulation.
Correct.
What we do with the absentee system is we have different stages that actually each deck goes through. First stage being a scanning stage. There's access control associated with each of these stages, so that I can give certain people the ability to scan ballots, but not do any further work with those ballots. So they can scan the ballots into the memory of the system. That can be held there until it's appropriate and the appropriate people with the right access control credentials are able to then commit those decks. And it's at that point that tabulation occurs.
So it's going into the GEMS system regardless, because I think Jessica said, did you say it's different software than the GEMS software?
Correct.
So how do you get it out of that software and into?
Okay, so there's then a final step on commit that would be to upload the results to GEMS. So,
But it's in the same server? It's in the same box? I mean, I'm very low
Different
tech,
box.
forgive me, but it's in
Yeah,
the same server?
different server.
So what do you use, a card, or how do you get it from that server to this server? Do you network it?
It's a local area, a closed local area network. So I would, when I'm ready to upload those results, I would connect, through a local hub, closed network. I would connect my absentee scanner to the server that's running running GEMS, who's also connected to that hub. At that point, then I can initiate the transfer of the results up to GEMS. Until that point, the ballot images, and at the point when I commit the DEX, the tabulated results are still maintained within the unit.
Do you know if Premier's had any discussions with Secretary of State Bruner to see if that's an acceptable mode of, not counting but scanning and having approval for doing scanning early?
I don't know if they've had those conversations, but I will ask and get back.
When you get a chance, could you review the warranties that come with this?
I asked that question earlier today, and the response that I got was that it comes with a 1-year standard warranty.
What does that mean?
In terms of operation and repair and parts and those details,
Is it warranted for a particular fitness for the particular purpose of running an election? I don't know what a standard warranty is, frankly.
I don't know warranties well enough to really be able to respond to that question, and I apologize. I can get the warranty language for you, and if there's specific questions you'd like me to get an answer to, I can do that as well.
I guess I would like to see the warranty language, the specific warranty language that's being proposed for us to consider.
Jessica, could you share possibly, and I asked this question of the other vendors, what, if anything, the company's done in response to the Everest report, findings, have any steps been taken to address a lot of the issues related to security and performance and a whole host of issues that were identified there?
Yes, I can. The current OS system, the one proposed for November, there really are no changes to that system. Our issues in the Everest report, we did provide a response. I believe it is posted or it was provided to the Secretary of State. Most of the items identified, if not all the items identified, and Joe, if you know, would you please clarify, in the Everest report, have been addressed in our next generation system. And so our goal would be to get that certified and into the hands of our customers so that those issues are addressed.